Well, Sheikh Zakzaky, I am very happy to be talking to you and actually to see you again. Thank you so much for talking to us here at PressTv, and we appreciate it that you've chosen this network to give your first interview since being free. You know, there were times when you were incarcerated that we weren't sure if you would even survive, but alhamdulillah, we're so glad to see you today and that you're with us here today. I want to start this off by going back a little bit in time. When you were a university student, you were politically active. When did you establish the Islamic movement in Nigeria, and what motivated you to do so?
Well, it started when we were students in the university. In those days, there is a tendency to see one as progressive or enlightened or educated to be a communist. Communism was communist ideology was the order of the day. You know, it was attracting a lot of young people in the university in the late 70s when I was a student. I was a student in late 70s, 76 to 79. So one problem with the communists, even though they call for social justice, they also have problem with religion. They said that it is invented to, you know, to control people. Karl Marx said it is an opium of the people, you know. And the biggest problem is they even declare openly that they don't believe in the existence of God. Alhamdulillah, I have a good background, Islamic background, even though I was studying economics in those days. But I have a good command of Arabic language, and I've studied Islamic studies also, and I'm a product of traditional Islamic institutions and also modern institutions, because the secondary school I have attended is called School for Arabic Studies. So we started to challenge those ideas they have against religion, and also show that their own ideas about social justice is also enshrined in Islamic teachings in the Quran. So that was it, how it started. We might call it ideological war in those days. And suddenly there was this appearance of uprising in Iran in 1978, to be precise, when the imam was in France. Right. And this, you know, attracted our attention very much. So we might say that the movement started definitely, you know, in those days, late 70s, when we were university students.
Well, you said there was a movement in Iran in 1978 and what had started right before the revolution. How did that relate to you all? Why did it affect you so much?
Well, we were calling for establishment of an Islamic system of governance in our society, just as the communists were also calling for establishment of communist system of governance. And the others, whom you call them anything, they prepared the status quo. So we found that there was an uprising somewhere calling to similar ideas, which culminated in a victory in the 1979 revolution. So we found that what we have been calling for has been, you know, actualized somewhere else. And that means it is possible also for it to materialize also in our own society. So even not only us, we were influenced by the Islamic Revolution in Iran. Even the communists were influenced by the Islamic Revolution in Iran. I could remember some communist students who actually showed solidarity with us. Even some of them are even dressing in big gowns and calling themselves Ayatollah. So there was, the influence was tremendous, particularly when it was a victory against the Western capitalist ideology, you know, which fought the Islamic Revolution. So the communists were attracted to it as well. And some of them even changed from communism to become Islamic activists, actually.
Right, right. Well, and then with the establishment, though, of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, and we look over the years, you've had many ups and downs. Overall, what was your overall goal in establishing? I mean, the Islamic movement of Nigeria is to do what? What's the goal?
Well, first of all, I have to make clarification. We have never considered the word Islamic movement as an organization. It was considered as a concept, you know. We did not call ourselves Islamic movement. It was our activities which became known to be Islamic movement, because it was a move that Islam is, you know, raising up to return to its own glorious days. Remember, there was establishment of an Islamic system about 100 years before the coming of the British colonialists here by Sheikh Osman Dampodio.
Yes.
100 years before they came, and then 100 years after them, after the coming of the British, that's about 200 years, we still have the urge to return back to what we have lost to the British. All right. So the call, you know, got to be answered. You know, it rang in the ears of the ordinary Muslim people because they understand us quickly. You know. So we started at that time. We are Muslim students. We have a society called Muslim Student Society. I happen to be the Secretary General of the Muslim Student Society in our campus of the university, which is the largest campus in the country, you know, in the largest university in the country, right. Then and even now. Then also I became the Vice President in charge of international affairs in the national body of the same society. So our call started when we were students. It was never to be called Islamic movement then. In fact, the people were calling us students only. It was later in the 80s when we were no longer students, the word Islamic movement came to surface. But we still insist that the Islamic movement is a concept, not organization. So we have Islamic movement in Nigeria, you have Islamic movement in Ghana, you have Islamic movement in Sierra Leone, you have Islamic movement everywhere. You have Islamic movement in Africa, you have Islamic movement all over the world. So the Islamic movement is a concept rather than name of our society.
Right. Well, now we look at the Islamic movement of Nigeria. There's so much negative propaganda about the movement inside the country. I mean, and even we saw that the government had banned certain activities of the group. Why is that the case? That you're just saying that basically it's a concept. So why all of the negative propaganda and pressure?
Well, I know those in authority should answer this better than myself, but they will never be true to themselves. Sometimes they say in private, not in public, that they fear the Islamic movement, that it will return the country to the path of Islamic system, just as the revolution in Iran has taken place. Sometimes they even openly say it. That's their own fear. We alienate their fear by saying this. You have nothing to fear. You want democracy, isn't it? What is the meaning of democracy? It is a government of the people. I believe that if there will be a plebiscite in this country where people will be asked, which system would you like? Is it the status quo, which is the heritage of the British colonialists, or the Islamic system? Just cast vote on one of them. I'm sure majority will choose Islamic system. I am sure. So that since you have nothing to fear, it will be the government of the people after all.
Do you think that will even be a possibility? You said the majority of the people would like that, and of course, that's the ultimate democracy. Is that a possibility?
Well, I don't think they will ever allow it, but when the time comes, like after the success of the revolution in Iran, people were given the chance to choose between monarchy and Islamic Republic, and they overwhelmingly voted for Islamic Republic.
Right.
That may come one day in this country as well, when the people will be given the choice to choose for themselves which system will they like, all right? And I'm sure that definitely they will choose the Islamic system.
Well, Sheikh, you've just recently been released from prison after being incarcerated since 2015. Of course, that's when the massacre of the Islamic movement of Nigeria took place. Tell us what actually happened in Zaria that day. And how did you and your wife end up being jailed for 6 years for that event?
Our prosecution has started much earlier than that time. All in all, I have been in prison for a total of 9 years, but at different times. 7 years in the 80s, from 81 to 89. Those 9 years I spent 7 in prison. And also another 2 years and some 3 months in the 90s. Now, during this, in the 90s, or remember in the time of Abuja also, he was the first military leader who opened fire on us. Openly, the soldiers were invited to open fire. And during his administration, he killed about 66 people, confirmed. This time around, in the 20s, they have been making so many attempts. I don't know the number of times. Until in 2014, in Qudus, during Qudus Day, they also carry out, they attack the procession of Qudus Day and kill about 33 people, including my 3 children.
Right.
We are not fighting with guns. We are speaking. We are talking. We are talking sense, And the answer is to fight and kill. So in what happened in Zaria in 2014 was pre-planned crackdown, even though they have no way to justify what they did, except because they are so confused as to say that there was blockage of road. In any case, even if there was any, my house was away from where they allegedly the road was blocked. It was away by about 30 kilometers. A lot of people were killed, students, teachers, trade, anybody. They burned the house to ashes, and they were surprised that after killing hundreds of people and burning the house, we were still alive. Myself, my wife, and my children, and some few brothers and sisters, were still alive, and they opened fire on us. So 3 of my children were killed before me, and my wife and myself were wounded, terribly wounded. Only Allah knows how what is the wisdom behind his saving us. But we were shot severally in the shooting that a human being cannot survive it. After they shot me, I was phoning some people, including some people in the authorities. One of them, I even asked him to send my salam to General Buhari, and said, send my salam to General Buhari. I hope they will do their government very well. Carry on. We will meet in the day of judgment. And I come to understand that Buhari has had that message as well. Also, I have no time to give details, but
how many bullets do you have in you, Sheikh?
I wouldn't know, because they have battered my right side, and battered my left hand, and also, as you can see from the pictures, also it affected my face and even the eye. And the pictures show that there are fragments of bullets around my head and neck around the head from the cheek up to the head. They counted about 38 fragments. And also my wife has several gunshots on her stomach and her thigh, you know. So but they took us to their hospital. And somehow my wife, they removed all the bullets from her, not some of the bullets, without putting her under anesthesia. Then it was later in another hospital that more bullets were removed. And she still have one complete bullet in her body, which found its place in her pelvic. And they said at that time they could not remove it. The bullets in my body, you know, scattered. So there were some fragments all over the body. You know, there were fragments on my hands, on my thigh, and on my head, up till now. And these fragments also secrete poisons like lead and cadmium. And I'm still living with some amount of those poison in my body, and including the fragments, up till now.
But you're still alive, Sheikh, and your wife is still alive. Well, that's absolutely amazing when we hear that story.
That's the will of Allah, because when they tested the level of lead in my body, at one time it was about 244, which they said the normal human being should contain only 10. And I have 344 on my body. Well, that's the will of God that I'm alive anyway.
Obviously, he definitely has more plans for you. Sheikh, with the situation in dealing with the Zadia massacre, and then you being in jail for 6 years, of course.
Well, you know,
go ahead.
The state government, under the order of the federal government, has instituted a commission of inquiry to look into what happened in Zaria. Mm-hmm. And we were not allowed to present our own side of the story. In fact, when our lawyers wanted to allow them to see me keeping me in custody, me, myself, and my wife, they didn't allow them to do so. So they said since they were not allowed to see their client, they could not go and speak on his behalf. Alternatively, they could also come and talk to me in the hospital where they were keeping me. But they went ahead to listen to all submissions minus our own side of the story. Even then, despite the fact they did not listen to our own side of the story, the Commission of Inquiry came with the recommendations that those killed, by the army, the compensation should be paid by the federal government. All right. Yes. And the corpses of those who are killed should be delivered to their respective families, because one of the government officials testified that they have buried 347 people in one mass grave.
How many, Sheikh? How many did you say?
The official, government official said that they have buried 347 people in one of the mass graves. Mm. And we know that there were other mass graves. All in all, on our own side, we have names of people and their ages and all every detail of.
How many do you have? What are the numbers that you have?
We have about 700 so far, and but the number is definitely more than 1,000. All right. What I'm trying to say, the Commission of Inquiry gave the recommendation that the federal government should pay compensation for those killed. All right, that's one. Also, the state government should pay compensation for the properties they demolish. All right, including our houses, our Husainias, our schools, and so on. And these recommendations of the committee were given to Muhammad Buhari on 7th September 2016, and he promised that anybody found, to has a hand in it will be brought to book according to him. And then up till now they said nothing about that. And in December of the same year, 2016, 3rd December to be precise, a federal high court in Abuja ruled that our detention, my wife and myself, our detention was illegal, and that we should be released unconditionally, and that compensation should be paid to us, and a house to live must be given to us in a state of our choice in the northern part of the country. That court ruling was not, implemented.
Yes.
And also they took some, in Zaria they took about 500 people, among most of them wounded, and took them to the prison. Well, only one person happened to pass away in the prison, but the rest of them didn't survive. And then they released most of them. They took 153 of them to the court. They divided them into two courts. One court, they have 77 people. Another court, 76 people. And in July 2018, the High Court in Kaduna, one of the High Courts, ruled that those people were discharged and acquitted, and they were not found guilty of any of the offenses they were accused to have committed. And then the court even said that they have the right to seek compensation for their illegal detention. On 28 July this year, 2021, that we were discharged and acquitted and were exonerated of all the 8 charges against us. And in the end of the day, it was found that none of us committed any offense. And then they were ordered to pay compensation for their atrocities, yet nothing happened.
You have not gotten any compensation at all?
No, none at all. And then they kept us, they know that we have health issue, but we are kept with these difficulties, in incarceration for almost 6 years. But alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, we survive it.
Yes, but tell me about your overall health situation right now, Sheikh. Your situation and your wife.
Well, right now, all of us, both of us have fragments of bullets in our body. Myself, it's fragments. Her own is one full bullet. Here, they said they could not remove it, but our doctors who came from outside the country who studied the situation, they said they could be able to remove it. Okay. And an order was given by the court of law that we have the right to seek this medical assistance outside Nigeria. And we eventually went to India, but they went and frustrated everything and forcefully returned us back. So we are still living with this issue, health issue.
Why don't you leave the country and get health care?
Yeah, that's what we are hoping to. We were thinking that immediately we are out of prison, it will not be a matter of days when we will leave this country. But when we came out, we were hoping to get our passports back. In fact, our lawyer, after the ruling that we are discharged, rose and begged the presiding judge, or the judge, to give an order that our passports should be released to us because of our health problem. Because earlier on, another high court has ordered that we have the right to seek medical assistance outside Nigeria.
Well, there are no charges. Sorry to interrupt you, Sheikh. There are no charges against you, right? You were released unconditionally. So why don't you have a passport? Why can't you get your passport?
That's what the judge was even saying, that there was no need for him to give any order because we have no charge. We have been discharged. He said it is like him giving order to the prison to give us our property back. So we are entitled to all our property. The court doesn't have to give order. But, you know, when we came out, we were thinking that a matter of weeks it will be okay for us. But up till now, the passports have not been in our hand. At one time, the security operators said that they have lost the passport. The passports were no longer in their hand. So we took, you know, steps to make another one.
Okay.
And in the end of the day, we are told that there was what they call passport plugging. A passport plugging has been placed on us, meaning the two of us have no right to leave this country. We don't know what for.
Based on what? What? They're not telling you why? No reasons given?
Well, at least officially they didn't say.
You know, Sheikh, while you were in prison, first of all, your own people from the Islamic movement of Nigeria, as you know, continuously were demonstrating and demanding that you be released. And of course, also outside of the country, we saw many activists get on board and demand your release. At this point in time right now, first question is your overall assessment of these people, and why do you think that you actually created this environment that everybody all over the world, really, so many activists wanted to be on board and saw this type of injustice and were demanding your release? And also, I have to say, with your own people and continually demonstrating, even though many times they were losing their lives, what do you attribute all of this to?
Well, it's not my own creation, actually. It's God's Almighty's own making. One thing is clear, that the people here has demonstrated that we can demonstrate perseverance. Perseverance. You know, you have seen in the Zaria massacre how people actually protect their own brethren by their own bodies. You can see that the Zaria massacre drew the attention of the world to the injustice meted on us, and that's how the sympathy, and it is the Zaria massacre also opened the eyes and ears of the people to realize that that was not the first time; it was only the worst they have done. All right, you remember we are now on the days of Arba'in of Imam Husain, and the message of Ashura. You know, it's shown clearly. You see the Arba'in, where millions of people flocked to Karbala. You know, this is commemoration of Imam and less than 100 people, 18 people from his family and 60 from his companions that were murdered in the plains of Karbala. You know, the injustice meted on them has such tremendous effect on the whole world, not only Muslims. You know, up till today, you have seen how millions of people flock of all different faiths to show solidarity with Imam Husain. That's, you know, in a little way, we the followers of Imam, and this is what the Zaria massacre also taught people. So it was, you know, we might say that it was the blessing of, you know, the incident of Karbala that, you know, also were showered on us.
You mentioned Arba'in, and of course, yesterday was Arba'in. And what we have seen with the Islamic movement in Nigeria, when the group had participated in commemorating certain occasions, like Ashura, like Arba'in, like the Day of Quds, that unfortunately throughout the years, the group has been attacked, and yesterday was no different. Can you tell me about what happened yesterday in Abuja?
Yes, first of all, you know, this Arba'in trek, we call it symbolic trek because those of us who cannot go to Karbala do a symbolic trek from one place to another. And as the people were about to disperse, the security operators just appeared and simply opened fire. And, you know, kill a number of people and wounded and some. we don't have much detail up till now because they have taken away some of the casualties. But right in the hand of our people, they have some killed and wounded.
Do you know how many were killed? Do you have any numbers at all yet?
Not yet, but you know, inshallah, as you may see, the number of people killed during the funeral, which took place rather today, inshallah. But we may not know the full number because we were aware that they have taken some people, some of them wounded. They have taken them alive to unknown destination. And they themselves confirmed that they have taken about 50 people. And earlier, the day before yesterday, they have taken about 20 people. So on and all, maybe in their country, there may be about 70 people. And they did not allow anybody to know where they were keeping them. But as these days goes by, you know, things will come to light, inshallah.
Why, Sheikh, why do you think that these commemorations we see repeatedly attacked?
Well, there's absolutely no reason why it should be attacked. After all, it took place in some other cities without event. It took place in many places, not in Abuja alone. But they went through smoothly. They know for sure these people will start from one end to another end and end up with closing remarks and prayers. That has always been our pattern. Start from one end to another end. Yesterday's trek was on a highway, and there was, service roads. They were following the service road. They have not disrupted any traffic, and at the time that a lot of people who are coming to work in Abuja, there was traffic, and all of a sudden they come and open fire. And we believe that some of those killed were actually people passing by. So it is not necessarily those people who participated in the procession. There are so many people who are just coming into Abuja for their normal businesses were also affected. Actually, I cannot say why, because I did not see any reason why. There is no reason whatsoever why they should do it.
Yes, and also, I was talking about the Day of Quds you've seen throughout the years being attacked. I want to know, in your perspective, why would the Nigerian government be so sensitive about commemorations being held, for example, for Quds Day? And of course, that is condemning Israel. Is there some affinity between the Nigerian government and Tel Aviv, or why would they respond in the way that they have on Quds Day?
Well, yeah, also this is the sort of question which nobody can answer. They cannot say why. In the first place, we used to challenge them. We say, look, we make celebration whether the demonstrations are rally in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Simple and clear. If you support Israel, organize a solidarity march on a different day, not the last Ramadan not the last Friday of Ramadan. Choose any other day you so wish, and then have a solidarity with Israel. You have the right to do that. But why come and attack and kill people simply when they are showing solidarity with Israel? And also, solidarity with Palestine, I want to say. So also, if people are commemorating the martyrdom of Imam Husain, and you don't like it, organize your own people who will support Yazid, and they say they are for Yazid. They have the right to support Yazid. You know, we know they are Yazidians, of course, so they can organize Yazid Day. Instead of, they are using a different weapon for a different battle. You fight somebody who fight you. You fight with a gun when somebody is showing you a gun. Why shoot at people who are marching without anything in their hand except banners and chanting slogans?
And you said, why fight anyone they don't have anything in their hands? And you have continually said that the Islamic movement in Nigeria is a non-violent movement. And from what I understand, you do not support members taking up arms. Can you open that up a little bit and talk about that as far as why you have chosen to reiterate the importance of this movement being a non-violent one?
Well, it's the message of Imam Husain is very clear. Husain is the case of the victory of blood over the sword. So this time it's also the victory of blood over the gun. Certainly the blood will emerge victorious. They use the weapon which is not matching what they are fighting. They are fighting an ideology, ideas they don't like, and we are speaking, and they are shooting. So what they expect us maybe to stop doing what, and then we have not to stop, and we are not going to stop. The Ashura has continued all these years, despite all the, sometimes attacks, sometimes it passes without event. Ashura this year, it passed without event in most places in Nigeria, except in one city, Sokoto, when they opened fire. Also, again, after the procession has ended. But next year also there will be another Ashura in Sokoto, and any following years up to the emergence of Imam Mahdi, there will be Ashura, and it will continue. So also Arba'in will continue, whether you shoot or you don't shoot it. Ashura and Arba'in and Qudus, they will continue until the appearance of Imam Mahdi, a general operation. So nothing has changed. In fact, if there's any change, it is change for the better. Things have progressed so far. I don't know whether these people also sit down and analyze their action. If they do so, they find that actually their weapons also, succeed in also, boosting our morale, and also succeed also in getting us stronger and stronger.
And you've had such an effect because your movement is not a Shia movement particularly. As you said, it's a concept, and you have Christians and people who are secular that are also part of the Islamic movement in Nigeria. What is key here? What do you stress that is attractive to people across the board? It is not a sectarian movement at all.
Yeah, it's a call to justice, and all humans want justice, and they do not want oppression. We speak against oppression, and we call for justice, and this is human for every human being, not Muslim, Christians, Jews, or any other faith at all. Even those who may say they have no religion at all, they are human beings also. They abhor oppression, and they want justice. So the message of justice, and also the message of peace also, attract a lot of people to us. And not only they attract, we call others also to join hand with us. So alhamdulillah, they also answer the call. Even in our own symbolic trek of Arba'in, a lot of Christians participate in it. Over these years, not only ordinary Christians, some of them were their own clergy. Their own clergy participate in it. As you see also in Arba'in, in Karbala, people of all phases, join. This is the same message of, going against oppression and asking for justice.
And speaking of justice, I mean, Nigeria seems to be, unfortunately, deteriorating. If we look at the deteriorating security situation, this deteriorating economics, we see Boko Haram and kidnapping and armed bandits basically doing whatever they want. What has happened to Nigeria? What is key here? What needs to happen?
Well, this myself, I can say I don't know what these people want to achieve by setting the country in such a chaotic condition. It appears that they have no solution to the problems, yet they continue not only to that they are not doing anything to solve the issue, but they are creating more. Like, for example, the attack on us. Why attack on a peaceful procession when you have people you call bandits attacking innocent people in other parts of the country? Why take up the matter with them? And why is it that as they are claiming that they are fighting this so-called bandits or so-called Boko Haram? Why is it that all the time these people have been on the wing, and they are using also guns? You know, they are using weapons at the same time. You know, the military always continue to give information that they are getting sent back. So many of them are being killed. Why all this? Nobody can say, and why all this kidnapping and insecurity in the whole country? Who is benefiting from this? Always when there is crisis, if you want to find who is behind it, you will always study who is the beneficiary. The beneficiary here is those who come and curtail our resources. They want this chaos because it serves them well. And the people are battling with what to maintain their life with their. As the people live in perpetual fear, and the people live in chaos, and this is a time when their worlds will be taken away without them knowing. So it has to be those who are interested in our resources. They are the people behind this chaos.
We look at even the whole continent of Africa and how it has been under the crushing hands of colonialists and hegemons for so many centuries. What vision would you have? What option do you think that the perspective that you carry could help with not only Nigeria, but all of Africa in liberating one from being under basically the claws of imperialism? What needs to take place?
Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons why the attack on the movement has been intense, because they say clearly that Nigeria is like an African power, and there is a tendency that anything that succeed in Nigeria, other African nations will look to it for as a sort of guidance. So they fear that. A revolution taking place in Nigeria will automatically change the whole of Africa. That's why all the atrocities are committed against us in Nigeria.
When we look at your overall situation, Sheikh, you've talked about Imam Husain, and you've talked about Karbala, and you've talked about sacrifices, and of course, that's the example of the ultimate sacrifice for us all. You too, Sheikh, have sacrificed a lot. You said at the beginning of the program how many times you've been in jail, and of course, basically been tried to be silenced. You've lost your sons, I believe 6 sons, your sister. So many of your followers have been in prison along with your wife, and still have bullet fragments in you, and still, of course, they're threatening you. What is key to your determination? What makes you want to continue doing what you do? You could easily just sit at home and just have a regular life as a retiree at this point in time, but you haven't chosen that path. Tell me about that.
Well, maybe you have heard about Nelson Mandela, who was in jail for 27 years. It was said that at one time, he wrote it himself. He said at one time he wanted to sign their conditions so that they should release him, because they gave him condition. Anytime he signed in those conditions, he would be released. But he wanted at one time to sign the condition, but he remembered the sacrifice of Imam Husain, so he prepared to stay until when it came to an end after 27 years in jail. Now that is Nelson Mandela, who took to the way of Imam. How much of us who are following the Imam ourselves, we are following the path of Imam Hussein? He's someone who has been, the Imam Hussein has influence on him, and we cannot say he's not a follower of Imam Hussein. How much more of us are followers of Imam Hussein? So we persevere to ultimate end. After all, it is, what is it? They want us killed, isn't it? One day, even if they did not kill us, we will die one day. And they themselves, they are also going to die. So that is it. And the struggle will definitely continue. Whether we are alive or not, the struggle will definitely continue. So it is a part of Ahlul Bayt. We draw inspiration from that. And whatever atrocities is meted on us, it becomes solid before our eyes if we remember the sacrifice of the families of the Prophet. And we always console ourselves by remembering what happened to the families of Ahlul Bayt, from Sayyidah Zahra, Salamullahi alayha, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Hassanain, Imamain Hassan, and all A'immah, one by one, how they were all persecuted. So our own, we belittle what happens to us. It becomes simply little. How much you can consider, what I was giving you example was Mandela. Mandela was in 27 years in prison. But I was only 9 years in prison before. Now they have added and almost 6. I'm about 15 years in prison. So if Mandela can endure that, because he drew inspiration from Imam Hussein. What about myself, who claim to be the follower of Imam Hussein?
Well, you say that's so inspirational, and I think so many of us need to hear that, especially when we see the deteriorated situation in the world in general, and we have more and more people, becoming depressed, basically losing hope. I mean, what would you say to them, whether they're Muslim or not Muslim? What do you say? How do you inspire these people in their search for the truth and for justice, as you talked about?
Well, we do not lose hope. We know that one day there will be change. The situation cannot continue as it is. Operation does not last. The children of Israel suffered under the Pharaoh for about 200 years, but it came to an end. Now the Palestinians are suffering, but it is the twilight has started to show. One day the sun shall rise. Is it the twilight? I would say this dawn. I would rather the twilight. Dawn has also started showing, and surely the sun shall rise, inshallah. And also, the message is very clear. Oppression does not survive, and justice will one day materialize. One day there will be victory. We have hope. We are not living in a hopeless society. After all, we the Muslims have great hope. We know this is a promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his book, and promise from the hadith, that the rise of Imam Ajjalallah Farajahu, we are waiting for him. And we know one day is a promise of Allah. He will come at a time when the world is filled with injustice, and we fill it with justice and tranquility.
Sheikh, what is your overall vision of the role of the Islamic movement in Nigeria and for Nigeria in general? What would you like to see happen?
Well, I know the in progress. The call is getting to the ears of people, and people have now eyes to see. Before they try to, like you rightly said earlier, they try to blackmail us, try to show that we are terrible people, we are people who are violent, this and that. Even when whenever they are having our case in the court, they will terrorize the whole thing. To make us look like some monsters whom some people should fear, as if we are not human beings. These are people who are terrible people. But now, what they have done in broad daylight, some God, this is time. It is not the time you have to say it. People can also see it. You have seen the event of yesterday, how eyewitnesses of people in the town were using their handset to, take shots of, all the atrocities being committed. So also, things can be seen today. You don't have to. You are wasting your time when you tell lies today, because this is the age of awareness. Everywhere that people can see things even live. It's not the old days when you can fabricate news and publicize. Now, if you fabricate news and publicize, you are only deceiving nobody but yourself, because people can see now. So in the whole, I must say we are very hopeful, very hopeful. This is the day of the time of awareness. What they did to us, they always succeeded in boosting our morale and showing who we are, not only to the Nigerian people, but to the whole world.
As I said earlier about the activists that were basically, of course, campaigning for your release, and some of these people still very much, they want to be involved in dealing with the Islamic movement in Nigeria. Many of them ask if there's something that they can do in order to support the Islamic movement of Nigeria. What would you say to them?
Well, they are doing what they can. I have earlier on spoken to some brothers and sisters. The message is particularly to them. I was saying that what happened to us was a sort of test, and the test will continue to come. So they should persevere, and for more tests to come, inshallah, until victory. So I know the brethren, they are doing their best. May Allah reward them abundantly, and we hope they will continue in the same path, never to relent in their effort, and they should continue to persevere as they do, inshallah, until victory and even beyond.
Sheikh, how would you like to be remembered? I mean, we all have our time that we definitely leave this world. How would you like to be remembered? And what is important for you to be able to accomplish, or maybe you have already accomplished, before you go? Tell me, in general, your perspective about this.
Well, I think a lot of people think that a victory is for an establishment of an authority in a certain geographical location. No, victory is for someone to persevere until the end. All right, our victory is for us to stand steadfast until we die. We know one day we'll either get killed, or even if we are not get killed, we will one day die. So we will be remembered as people who have stood by our own belief and never get scared. That we will be remembered. The people will also draw inspiration from that, and they should also remember that this is not our own making. We are also emulating Imam Husain. We are emulating the Imam of Ahlul Bayt. And that's the secret behind our success, if we have any.
I'd like to hear your final comments. What would you like to say? What message would you like to give the people of the world?
After thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will also thank all those people who, in one way or another, stood by us, either by demonstrations, by speeches, by writings, by prayers in any way possible, those we know and those we do not know. May Allah reward them abundantly. And also, they should understand that the matter has not come to an end. We still solicited the same support they gave us when we were in incarceration. We are still being, in a way, incarcerated because we are not allowed out of the country for no reason set. We also demand their own prayers wherever they should remember us in their own prayers, as we do remember them also in ours, inshallah.
Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaky, thank you so much. You're an inspiration. You and, of course, your wife, Malanzina. May God bless you all. And again, we appreciate that you chose PressTv to be the first station, the first network that you talk to after you've been free. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Well, thank you everyone so much for being with us in this very, very special interview of the leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaky. This has been his first, actually, interview, as I said, since he's been free. And again, we are appreciative that he has chosen PressTv. I'm Marzieh Hashemi, and really, really appreciate you guys joining us and hope that it has been as good for you as it has been for me. Hope to see you right here. Stay tuned. Stay with us at PressTv.